How's everything going, guys? Welcome to another video here. I am Guenter. Hope you're well. Today we are going to be doing another video here on the channel. Today it's going to be Scott The Woz's last Sonic video he's done on the Mega Drive ones, which is Sonic 3D Blast. Right, what the plan is for my channel, I want to get this over and done with first, is this channel, next week, my upload schedule will be changing. I'm actually going to be uploading not a schedule anymore because of what I want to do next week, which is the 16th, is it 16th? Just have a look, is it 16th? 17th of March. Around the 17th to 18th of March, I'm going to be uploading this. It's right here. So, one of my favourite manager games of all time, football games of all time, is called FIFA Manager. It used to be called Turtle Club back in the day. It was EA's management sim. It was discontinued and ended in 2013. However, a group of modders called fmzucker.de have been basically for the last 6 years making a mod for this to keep it up to date so people can still play it. Alright? Are you with me so far? Their new mod comes out on Friday the 14th. So 5 days from now. Alright? So the plan is when that mod comes out on the 14th, either on the 17th or 18th of March, I'm starting this on the channel. The Marino Miracle, in which I take a team from San Marino and see how far I can take them. San Marino, if you guys don't know, is a small country in Italy, and it is the worst country in Europe when it comes to football. They've had in the last 6 months, they've had a good moment where they've actually won a couple of games. They went 20 years without winning a single game. They won 2 of the last 4 out of nowhere. So they're on the up. But then they had a friendly recently and got absolutely smashed. So I'm taking the club SS Cosmos, which I think is like a mid-table team in San Marino, and see what I can do with them. So, this series, it could be a 10-episode series. I could get sacked after season 1, or it could be a long-term thing where I could do multiple seasons. That is coming to the channel. When that hits the channel, which I think it's going to be the 17th, I'm just hoping I can get some time to do the first episode. 17th or 18th. Because that's what I put on the post, 17th or 18th last week, I did a post. 17th to 18th, I am starting out on the channel. When this starts, my content's changing. Alright? I'm still going to do reaction videos, still going to be channel, but they're not going to be as frequent. Alright? I'm still going to, like, a lot of people said to me, you should just move over to gameplay videos. I've had people saying to me, cut the reactions off and go gameplay. I'll still do 1 or 2 reactions here and there. Like if Scott The Woz uploads a new one, I'll probably do it. Chris opens a new one, I'll do it. So that kind of stuff. So because I want to start that. Also, there's another series I want to start as well on a different game. To anyone that's watched me for a long time, you remember I used to play a wrestling game called TEW. Last August, the new one came out. TW9 is the newest one. I don't own it yet, but as soon as I own it, I'm probably going to start a series on that. Alright? I just love playing games like this. And also, I'm thinking about doing some very obscure games. I remember years ago, I played a game called Soccer Life. And I'm thinking about maybe bringing Soccer Life back in. It's a 20-year-old football sim. Made from an Italian developer called Bam Presto, I think they're called. So, right, that's enough of me waffling, guys, about the channel. Some people say you shouldn't really do like reaction videos, but it's the only way more people will see what I'm saying. Alright, so, shall we get on with it? Alright, let me just go back. So, it is Sonic 3D Blast. Let's go.
Right. This is Sonic 3D Blast. This is a hernia. Spot the difference.
I know how that feels because I have actually got a hernia scar. I had a hernia when I was 3.5 years old. Mine is just above my junk. I shouldn't really talk about my private parts, but down there I've got a scar about that big. No joke.
Do I even have to explain myself here? Who's ever looked at this and said, delicious? Sonic 3D Blast.
Yeah, I've never looked at that game and think delicious, but I have seen that game and I realised the music's pretty fucking good. I like the music on 3D Blast.
Sonic the Hedgehog's jump to 3D. World's quickest sin. This has always been a strange one. The Sonic the Hedgehog series was hot in the early 90s, but started to wane a bit as the decade went on due to the Sega Genesis reaching the end of its life cycle and the following system, the Sega Saturn, not attaining that level of popularity alongside the fact that after Sonic and Knuckles in 1994, we didn't get a new mainline Sonic game until 1998.
That was because the original Sonic game for the Sega Saturn, which is Sonic Extreme, got stuck in development hell to a point where Chris Sen, the original developer, actually developed pneumonia and nearly died from it. There's a documentary which was posted years and years ago called From Concept to Console, I believe it was called. It's like the channel's dead now. It hasn't been uploaded in years, but they did a video about 10 years ago talking about Sonic Extreme, the development on it. Very, very interesting watch. I recommend it.
Sonic Adventure on the Sega Dreamcast. That's a long time ago without a new game, so how do we keep Sonic relevant, Sega asked? We're on the news! I have a complicated relationship with this game, as I feel many people do.
Also, here in the UK, one, it came in a clamshell, and it was literally just called Sonic 3D. Here in the US, in the UK, which is called Sonic 3D.
See, this isn't one of the crown jewels of the Sonic franchise. It seems that everybody's in agreement this isn't a great game. Yet, I've never seen anybody actively hate it. Not like it, sure, but hate? That's like picking on a dog with no legs. I know this game isn't great, but I still kind of like it. It's like dating a bad boy. You never marry it, but... maybe just this once. Sonic 3D Blast came to fruition after Sonic Team toyed with the concept of a 3D-styled Sonic title while developing Sonic 3, but what they were envisioning would have required certain chips to be included in the Sonic 3 game cartridge, which would have made a Sonic game more expensive than the child who wanted it was worth. So, that idea was scrapped for Sonic 3, and that's how Sonic 3 became a good game. But the idea of a 3D Sonic on the Sega Genesis just wouldn't go away!
That's called an intrusive thought.
No, it's Sonic 3D Blast.
Yup.
However, the next generation of console gaming was upon us.
Yeah, so they weren't quiet. This is like Sonic Team was not quiet during that. Sonic, I'm just checking. Oh, sorry. Just checking if my phone's still charging. It is. Sorry. Yeah, the Sonic game that they did after. Sorry, I'll take that off. The Sonic game they did, the next game they did was Rystar, which had the concept of like extendable arms, which was actually one of the prototype ideas they had for Sonic back in the day. Rystar's a decent game, very difficult, great music, very difficult.
For 3D games to be a standard, not a novelty, the Sega Saturn had officially released, which is why this was the perfect time to make a 3D Sonic on the Genesis.
No, wait. Now it is.
Yeah, even though the Sega Saturn had been on the market since 1994, Sega was still interested in supporting the Genesis with Sonic content, even when the Saturn had nothing of the sort. Sonic Team wanted to branch out from the franchise for a
Nights into Dreams?
bit with games like Nights into Dreams.
Yeah.
And I guess Sega as a whole was alright with putting Sonic on the back burner for a little bit. Maybe help give some of their other games some time to shine.
Also, there was another one they did as well, wasn't there? Burning Rangers? It's a firefighter game. I believe that was Sonic Team as well.
I mean, come on. Name 80 Sega Genesis games that aren't Sonic. Bet you can't. But that didn't mean...
80 Sega Genesis games. We haven't got time to do 80, but I can do 5. Revenge of Shinobi. Streets of Rage 1, 2 and 3. Fantasy Star 2, Fantasy Star 3 and Fantasy Star 4.
Sonic development wasn't going on, just wasn't a huge priority for Sega at the time. A handful of Sega Game Gear releases, Sega Master System titles, Knuckles Chaotix on the Sega 32X, the series was far from dead. But throughout 1995 and 96,
Sonic Blast! Oh no! Oh no! That's so bad. Right. When people say Sonic 06 is the worst Sonic game, or so-and-so is the worst Sonic game, no, it's that fucking thing there. Sonic Blast on Game Gear is the worst Sonic game. By far. It is horrendous. Sonic Blast on Game Gear is the worst.
it was being used to support smaller factors of Sega's business rather than their major new console. Maybe they thought the Saturn didn't need the help. It was getting new games regardless. We should focus on giving Game Gear players a reason to get out of bed today. I don't know. I mean, I get it. Sonic Labyrinth probably costs less than half a bug to produce, but at the cost of your new system that needed to be successful, not having a killer app or even just a single damn game from a series everybody recognized, it obviously didn't work out for them. So f*** it, let's make a 3D Sonic for the Sega Genesis! So why a 3D Sonic on this system? Why wake up in the morning? I don't know! Well see, Sega was developing a Sonic game for the Sega Saturn. It was meant to be a response to 3D gaming and nothing more. Sonic Extreme was being created by Sega Technical Institute in North America as the Sega Saturn's big holiday title for 1996. But just by watching the promotional videos, you can tell the project was directionless. It felt like this was being cobbled together to show that Sonic and Sega by
So basically, right, this is what I know about the video. This is what from that video was. This is what I remember. So basically, what happened was between Sonic. So basically, you had the main levels, you had the boss levels. There was Group A and Group B, right? Basically, when they were cobbling the game together, the level group, so we call them Group A. Group A's game was not developing very well. They was having a lot of technical issues, a lot of technical problems. However, when Sega of Japan came around and saw that Group A's weren't working properly, they were not happy. Then Group B showed them the bosses, and they basically went, right, Group B, your game engine, your boss engine, that's now the full game. Make something out of it. And they only had 8 months to do it. Didn't do it.
Roxy can stand toe-to-toe with the other guys in their fancy big penis 3D platformers, so of course Sega showed up to the baking competition with this. What the hell was this game? It didn't look bad per se, it was more so just confusing. Like, what are these levels? What are you doing in them? How do you progress? Why is there a fisheye lens? This game just looked like a 2D game you could move towards and away from.
Yeah, the reason why there was a fisheye lens was because the developer of it was fond of a fisheye lens to make it look more isometric in 3D.
The camera in. Not anything nearly as impressive as Super Mario 64, hell, even Crash Bandicoot. And a 2D game you can move towards and away from the camera in is a...
Fun fact, Crash Bandicoot's prototype name was Sonic Ass Game.
Exactly what that game is. Regardless, Extreme was poised to be the mainline Sonic series jump to 3D. Deal with it, life fucking stinks. But now without a taste of 3D for Genesis owners, as Sega crafted a completely separate 3D Sonic experience for that console. Sonic 3D Blast. These two were supposed to come out at the same time, much like how a game like Assassin's Creed Unity released for PS4 and Xbox One the same day as Assassin's Creed Rogue for PS3 and...
Actually, I've not played Unity, and I think I've played a little bit of Unity. Never played Rogue, though.
Xbox 360. It's not that I'm the first to think of that analogy, I was the first brave enough to say it. It's all about offering customers who haven't upgraded consoles yet an affordable option of their own, and Sonic 3D Blast on the Sega Genesis seemed to be exactly that. Poverty 3D Sonic. And with it being the last Sonic game on the system, one of the last games on the system in general, you can view this as a bit more of a celebrational release. Like, hey, let's do one last Sonic game on this guy and make it 3D to show just how far we've come. This was set to be an incredible and momentous holiday season for Sonic. Until the meth wore off. Yeah, all those things I said about Sonic Extreme, those weren't just my opinions. Those were core to the reason why that game got canceled. This thing was not working out. Though thankfully, Sonic 3D Blast function. So this became Sonic's grand leap to 3D, because in addition to a Sega Genesis version, Sega released a Sega Saturn version that holiday in place of Sonic Extreme, which made them look even more pathetic. You're releasing a 3D game 2 months after Super Mario 64?
Yeah, basically Sonic 3D Blast, the Sega Saturn version, is exactly the same with a slightly upgraded graphics, a slightly looking bonus level, which was like a 3D bonus level, which looked pretty cool, and CD quality music.
And it's this? Even calling it 3D Blast is so cocky when you know what this is. They could have called Mario 64 Mario 3D Blast, but they didn't, because a more generic title was coming later. Sonic 3D Blast wasn't primarily developed by Sega's Sonic team or any of the other
No, it was done by Traveller's Tales, which are a British developer.
in-house developers. Rather, it was created by Traveller's Tales. Who are these guys? Well, they developed Pugsy. Those have to be my last words. But you probably know them best now for their work on the LEGO games. So they originally developed a far greater variety of titles, many of which were licensed movie games, such as Toy Story. In fact, it was their work on that game in particular to garner Sega's attention, seeing how well they were able to craft 3D-like visuals on the Genesis. So give them Sonic, and hey, why not make a Sega Saturn version as well, just to be safe, because, you know, Sonic Extreme might get canceled just as much as I might be dead. You know, Sonic 3D Blast on the Sega Genesis had a relatively quick development time, only taking roughly 8 months to complete, with the Sega Saturn version being whipped together even faster in just 7 weeks. What once was just meant to be a supplementary title became the core holiday release, and thus, Sonic 3D Blast received a middling response, at least on the Sega Saturn side of things. The Genesis version was actually praised at the time. This was impressive for the hardware. This hardware, not this one. Which that just goes to show, this game was doomed to age poorly. I mean, if people thought this was outdated on the Sega Saturn, just think what I thought playing this on GameCube. Yes, myself, alongside countless others, first experienced 3D Blast via the Sonic Mega Collection. This title definitely stood out amongst the crowd, and I loved it for that. I mean, you have Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles, that's all fine and good, but variety is the spice of life, and Sonic 3D Blast was a cool offshoot title to switch to now.
Yeah, that was such a cool fucking collection, though. I would love Sega to go literally completely batshit. All the GameCube one, all the Game Gear one. Yeah, all the Game Gear ones, all the Mega Drive ones, Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, Heroes. Call it Sonic's Ultimate Game Collection, and it's literally every Sonic game from 1991 all the way up to 2000, we'll say 2005. I'm going to include DS ones on that, because look at the Castlevania game I'm doing a Let's Play on at the moment. That's how they put DS games on thing. Just do that. It'd be amazing.
And much like the actual mainline Sonic games, I never got far. Hell, in this one, I don't even think I beat the first level. Well, that's all going to...
Yeah, Green Grove Zone.
It changed today. See, my soul still has unfinished business here on Earth. That's why I'm still here. So I assume my destiny is to finish Sonic 3D Blast and figure out its worth. Then, and only then, will I finally go to hell. Or, next best option, I'll be resurrected. So, let's do it. Let's fulfill one of my 2 lifelong goals.
Beat Sonic.
Like I have a choice. Well, my first experience with 3D Blast was via the Sonic Mega Collection. Compilations are pretty...
That's a great collection, by the way. It's a good collection if you want to platinum it or 100,000 G it. It's a good collection to pick up.
Much been my only way of experiencing this game. Actually holding the game box and cartridge is a surreal experience. Yeah, sure, playing it on GameCube, I understood how impressive this was as a Genesis game. But that just goes to show how much playing on the original hardware can enhance the experience. When you're playing via an actual cartridge on an old school TV and you see this?
It's impressive. Yeah.
Was that Sonic?
Sorry guys, I've just noticed the audio wasn't quite loud enough. Apologise for that.
With birds? Of course, the second most shocking element here was the fact we have a CGI opening cutscene on a Sega Genesis cartridge. I don't care how many frames it is, I don't care what the resolution is. This was one of the coolest things in any Sonic game I saw back in the day. And I played this on the GameCube. On the actual Sega Genesis, this is still mind-blowing. Even the title screen here looks impressive for the hardware. Hopping into the main menu, we have 3 options: starting the game, tweaking the button layout, and a sound test. No continue option or save feature like in Sonic 3? You'd assume by 1996 this would be a standard, much like how I assume Sonic 3D Blast is gonna be good. Well, on to the game, and unlike other classic Sonic titles, we get this little story blurb at the beginning. Are you ready to meet the Flickies? Yeah. Mysterious birds who live in another dimension and can travel anywhere through large rings. Large rings? Wow. Realism, I guess. Dr. Robotnik learns about the Flickies. I will change the Flickies into robots and have them search for the Chaos Emeralds for me. Using the infinite power of the emeralds, I can conquer the world. Because of birds. Sonic visits Flicky Island to see his friends, but the only thing he finds are robots. There's a tree right behind him. Robotnik made my friends like this. I must save them. Robotnik must be stopped. Sonic starts to defeat the enemies in order to rescue the Flickies who are trapped inside. Story of my fucking life. Go, Sonic. You can warp through the big rings. With the help of the Flickies, I don't buy it. Chase after Robotnik and defeat his plans. Yeah, kick his plans ass. And here it is, Sonic 3D Blast.
Grove Zone.
He looks miserable. This is 3D? I can get the same feeling looking at my hand. Yeah, everything about this game needs to include a dozen asterisks next to it. Like, seriously? 3D? The graphics are pre-rendered. I heard that word when I was younger. Sure, I'd go along with the mob, but I didn't know why we were pillaging the village. Well, imagine creating a 3D model of something. The Sega Genesis can't display that, but you know what it can? A picture of that 3D model. So yeah, these are all 2D sprites based on images of 3D rendering. So deep down that family tree, you could consider Sonic 3D Blast to be 3D. But it's played from a top-down perspective, or to be more exact, isometric, meaning it's at an angle. And that is like the cheapest way to pretend your game is 3D. Oh, Sonic used to only be able to go left and right. Well, now he can go up and down. Yeah, was Adventure on Atari 3D? No, it wasn't 3D. It stunk. The game Super Mario RPG came out months before this, and that pretty much did everything 3D Blast is doing right now without having to brag about it in its title. This is nothing new and nothing to tout, and the 3D honestly makes this game so much clunkier than any other classic Sonic experience.
iPhone 16e.
Yeah.
Latest iPhone, greatest price. Built for Apple Intelligence.
Well, he feels so damn slippery here. It's like I'm on ice the whole damn game.
I've played Sonic Jam, but with the hardware and stuff, no. I still think Sonic Blast on Game Gear is worse.
I guess skinning around is supposed to convey Sonic speed, because without it, like, this is the fastest thing alive? Yeah, maybe in a post-apocalyptic world ran by slugs. Well, let's just remove speed from our minds for a bit here. Done. Let's just critique this as a functional video game. Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Precise jumping is a myth here. Being not 3D can make it so confusing to know where you are in relation to the environment. And even if you do know, the game can tell you to fuck off. I mean, movement isn't horrible or anything. It's responsive and something you can get used to. But that's not a compliment. That's the bare minimum a video game should be. It sounds like one though, so go ahead, I don't care. Substandard Sonic the Hedgehog games at the time couldn't be simpler. Just get to the end of the stage. Sonic 3D Blast is similarly very straightforward, though as a kid, I never knew what the hell I was doing here. I just knew, surely, it must be important. Well, since we have to save birds trapped inside robots, we have to defeat each and every enemy in a stage to collect said birds. Holy shit! We gotta bring the Flickies we collect to this giant ring. That's what you do. Collect birds, bring them to the ring. Repeat, but don't rinse. This is the gameplay loop. It functions. It's just damn boring, and I feel like a lot of that's because of how the game looks, but also the fact that the gameplay is just damn boring. Every stage has these checkerboard floors with really unappealing colors that honestly hurt the eyes more than anything. It's kind of disorienting, both to look at and also to know where you are in this world. When the game's about finding all the enemies and I can...
If you don't rush around and just do point A to point B, etc., etc., it's not that hard to navigate. Scott's got this wrong here.
Barely even tell where I am in the level because 90% of the screen is floor. That's a problem. Plus, when you get hit with some Flickies on you, they get scattered around and you have to get them back. But with how the graphics look...
At least the Flickies don't make an annoying noise like when you get hit on Yoshi's Island. Baby Mario going, ah, ah,
Look, it's like trying to find a bird in a haystack. It's really hard. I don't even know where a haystack is. And without Slippery, that's just zooming past the ground, not knowing where you were and not knowing where you're going. Sonic 3D Blast just gives me a headache. Conspiracy theory number 1, Tylenol funded this. However, it's something you get used to as time goes on, and the overall layout and level design here works. Nothing's really all too fun per se, nothing really sticks out, but it's not bad. It's just there. This gameplay feels like it was designed around the 3D gimmick rather than because they had a core concept for a good game. Yeah, you kill like 10 enemies and bring birds to a ring. This isn't a game, it's a list of to-dos. Sonic 3D Blast is about as deep as getting out of bed in the morning. It's so damn simple, but goddamn is it hard to follow through with it. Just the same damn thing over and over and over again, and it's not even really that challenging, it's just Sonic 3D Blast! This game's in a weird place, okay? Because there's nothing really that interesting going on here. It doesn't do anything inherently well. It's just an experience that happens. It's, by all accounts, a worthless video game. He's kind of cute, though. Yeah, 3D Blast is an anomaly. It's not fun, but it's not very good either. Though what makes it appealing, regardless of these detractors, is the charm, uniqueness, and overall general playability. There's something pathetically endearing about a game trying to pass off as a 3D experience in the 90s, and the fact that it isn't actually 3D makes the game so much more playable today than other titles. They designed this as a game that looked cutting edge, but was a standard 16-bit Sega Genesis game at its heart, rather than a game that truly was cutting edge being crammed onto the Sega Genesis when it didn't belong. Compare this to many of the other early 3D games at the time. Well, this isn't anything to write home about. In comparison to the others, I guarantee it's one of the most playable to—
Is that Siphon Filter? That game there, I don't know if my head's saying James Bond, but I think is that Siphon Filter? Let me know in the comments.
Day. It runs smooth. All you can do is run around, jump, and perform a spin dash. It's very simple, which can make it kind of boring and monotonous, but hey, it makes it age far better than many of the early 3D games on PlayStation. Well, yeah, the visuals are obviously dated. I don't know, they sort of have their own weird little style to them. It's kind of charming. This game is sort of garbage and obsolete, yet very competent and playable with a lot of character, which makes it so oddly lovable to me. Dude, your brother just fucking shot.
I was about to go mad then. When I saw you had no rings left, Scott, get the ring. You don't need to jump into the Robotnik's enemy. Go get a ring.
Not me. Oh my god. When is he gonna learn? Conspiracy theory number 2. This game isn't too bad. Whenever I see it in the latest Sega Genesis collections, I always pop it on for a little bit.
Yeah, very good collection that. Until Sega took it off Steam. You know why Sega took it off Steam, didn't you? Yeah, because I guarantee they're planning to re-release it again. Be what, the 3rd or 4th Mega... 1, 2... It'd be the 4th time Mega Drive games have been re-released. 4th.
It's a runner.
Because you got the Mega Drive collection on PlayStation 2 and PSP at the time. Then they did a 3rd collection for the Xbox 360, and then they did one for Modern Hardware, and they're probably going to do it again.
Around the first level, it's kind of enjoyable to jump about and gawk at the primitive 3D environment here. Though I never really cared to go much further than that. The gameplay loop of saving flickies is incredibly uninteresting and tedious, especially considering you have to jump on enemies to save them, and the game already has issues with perspective. This concept would have worked far better in a 2D game. 3D Blast definitely knows this because one of the power-ups available is the Gold Shield, giving Sonic the ability to perform the Sonic Blast attack, better known in future games
as the homing attack.
Yeah, the ability famously introduced in Sonic Adventure, allowing you to
ha. That's the noise that Eggman makes when you hit him. He goes ha ha.
Home in on enemies after jumping due to how difficult it was to line up jumps in 3D. I fucking wonder where they fucking got that fucking idea. Conspiracy theory number 3. F this game. The homing attack is great to have here, but a little odd it's locked behind a power-up, because what does Sonic 3D Blast gain from this? A dysfunctional relationship. Other than that, the power-ups available here are limited to invincibility, the speed shoes, the standard shield, and the fire shield, which doesn't even have the cool properties it had in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. No, this just gives us fire resistance. What's cooler than Sonic? Sonic not giving a You can find Knuckles and Tails in each level, and giving them 50 rings will bring us to the special stage. these just never look inviting to me. They're always so drab with an incredibly disorienting background if you focus on it. But the stages themselves, I mean, it's a bridge. If this is a special stage, well, I don't want to know what the f this is. These are
Hey, leave Spring Stadium alone.
incredibly easy. Some of the easiest special stages in all of Sonic history, which, hey, I'll take that compared to the alternative.
What the
You are
hell,
weak.
Sonic 2 special stages?
Well, we can just keep getting rings in the stage and bring them back to these guys to grind the levels out and get all 7 Chaos Emeralds crazy early on, which all these do is unlock the true final boss. See, after these unlocked Super Sonic and Sonic 2, 3, and Knuckles, oh, in 3 and Knuckles, we got damn Hyper Sonic. The fact our reward for getting all the Chaos Emeralds is this, I can tell what you're trying to do. I'm not giving you the sympathy vote for this. But just let me tell you, this game feels like it's trying to pull that at every second. Like, oh man, this is the enemy that stole your bird, beat you senseless, f***ed your wife. 8 zones in total, with most containing 3 acts. I'd go through them all, but there's just not enough noteworthy here.
Right. See if I can remember them all. There's not 8 zones. It's Green Grove, Mystic Ruin, or Mystic Ruins, Spring Stadium, Diamond Dust, Volcano Valley, I believe it is Panic Puppet Act 2, and then Final Zone.
Here. Each of them has something distinct to them, yes, but it's never really enough to make any stick out. The closest, in my opinion, are these spinner things in Rusty Ruin Zone. The Diamond Dust Zone is an ice level, Volcano Valley Zone is lava themed, Green Grove is the first zone and damn well looks the part. Well, these are all unique enough, I guess, with the repetitive gameplay, camera angle, and limited level gimmicks, they end up just feeling like the same damn things. Finishing the game, I got no sense of satisfaction. It wasn't like I beat the game. I withstood it. That's not to say 3D Blast is bad overall, just mediocre. It's charming for sure. It just feels more interested in hooking people in with the marketing gimmick of being a 3D game on the Sega Genesis. Holy sh**, that's possible? Nope, this game is the big fat 5 out of 10. It's not bad, but goddamn, why would you play it? Well, the game's programmer John Burton took it upon himself decades later to give you a reason to play it, releasing a mod for the game on PC titled Sonic 3D Blast Director's Cut in 2017. This is one of those official, unofficial releases where it wasn't released by Sega, but it was released by one of the developers, so hey, more credibility than my Director's Cut. I don't know.
Yeah.
Burton took this opportunity to tweak the game and add a few options to make the experience overall less frustrating and more fleshed out. That included a save feature using passwords, level editor, supersonic, a better camera system, better control, and a handful more changes that do make the game better, yes, but these are all fairly minor issues that don't affect the overall gameplay loop. It's still uninteresting, it's just less flawed than before, though I still commend Burton for going through with this. I think all the changes he made, I mean, he did everything he could have done to 3D Blast without completely overhauling the experience. Any problem I have with Director's Cut has to do with the fact it's still Sonic 3D Blast. But it's great to have a better version of the game available, alongside a better version. Sonic 3D Blast on Sega Saturn. Yeah, they finally did it. They put the game made for the wad of gum on the Cadillac. Say, do you think they could put Pong on my PlayStation 5? It's pretty obvious why this didn't excite many people. I mean, you weren't fooling anybody with this. It's almost as if Sega assumed putting Sonic and 3D in the title would have been enough for the game to compete with the likes of Super Mario 64. And when the title is bragging about itself and this is what you get, yeah, it's understandable why reviews of the Saturn version weren't glowing. Though this has always been the best way to play 3D Blast. It's so much smoother with far more defined and refined visuals. The environments don't look like a magic eye picture, rather look like actual environments. These look like more than just video game levels.
Yeah.
The music is all CD quality, brilliant tracks that are different from the Genesis ones, though that's not to say the Genesis version is bad. Far from it. I genuinely think the best thing to come from both of these games is the soundtrack.
I agree.
It's wonderful, at the same quality.
Agree 100% with you, Scott. The soundtrack's excellent.
as any of the other classic Sonic titles on the Genesis. But the Saturn version is really something special considering we didn't have a ton of classic Sonic material during this time, especially on the Saturn, so this music gives us a glimpse as to how more mainline Sonic games would have sounded post-Genesis but pre-Dreamcast, and it's really unique. The special stages are brand new and now fully 3D. Yeah, if you want to see the difference between pre-rendered and just flat out rendered, yeah, these are just 3D souped up takes on the special stage formula from Sonic 2. These are done so well. Absolutely fantastic special stages here. And not too hard, not too easy. The control's great with enough variables being thrown in from time to time. Perfect. This version has different opening and ending cutscenes, which are technically far better than the Genesis version, but just aren't as impressive because, like, ooh, the Sega Saturn playing a video file. Ooh, I've been talking about Sonic 3D Blast for 20 minutes. Like, yeah, it was designed to do that. Interestingly, though, it just goes right into the game. No story cutscenes like in the Genesis version. There's also still no save feature, which I don't care if the game's 3 hours long. On the Sega Saturn, that's unacceptable. And Jesus Christ, the load times are abysmal in this one. There are definitely pros and cons between the two releases, though overall, I'd say the Saturn version is the best of the bunch, though the Genesis one is more fun to look back on. Let's be honest, this game as a whole isn't necessary to play these days, so, well, yeah, the Saturn version is superior. If you're playing the game in the first place, you might as well just play it on Genesis. This game has always been more of a novelty, like, oh, look at it try. On Saturn, this isn't impressive, and the gameplay's the exact same, albeit smoother and visually clearer.
Yeah.
But this was always initially designed as a game in fake 3D that would work well in the Genesis. And the gameplay suffers from being pretty repetitive because of it. You put this game on the Saturn and, like, yeah, it's better, but are you really playing Sonic 3D Blast for a good time? Or to look back at history and chuckle? But circling back to what I said earlier, regardless of its detractors, the charm, uniqueness, and playability make 3D Blast just such an easy game to pop into and experience what Sega wanted you to think was 3D. It will always be an interesting time to look back on, and it's a surprisingly tolerable one to experience these days. And while 3D Blast is more so a spin-off, some consider it to be mainline, and honestly, with how big of an imprint it left on the Sonic series, video games as a whole, it's easy to see why. The gameplay mechanics and even music were used in Sonic Adventure.
Yeah.
The isometric camera, well, clunky, feels like it almost lent some inspiration to future 3D games like Mario 3D Land and Kirby and the Forgotten Land. May not be perfect, but Sonic 3D Blast is far more important than you may think.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I just discovered the trick to staying alive! Lie!
Right. Oh, I don't know where I've gone. God, the video's on 38 minutes. So, right. Yeah, I agree with Scott. It is a 5 out of 10 game. I'd probably maybe give it a 6. A little bit above average. Music, like I said, the music's really good. So, if you have played Sonic 3D Blast, guys, let me know in the comments below. What would you give it out of 10? So, right, like I said earlier on, next week is a massive change is happening to the channel. Alright, I'm making some changes. Alright, at the moment I'm planning to upload Monday to Friday, no weekend uploads, and some days you might get 2 videos a week, 2 videos a day. So I'm upping my content mainly because of me doing the FIFA Manager Let's Play. So I want to say a big thank you, guys. Thank you everyone for checking out this reaction video. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, don't forget to subscribe if you are new. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out. I'll see you on the next upload, guys. Have a good night, guys. Bye bye.